Is now the screen visible or no? Hello, are you able to hear me? But are you able to see the screen now? iPad screen is visible? Is the iPad screen visible? Hello? No, 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 no. Wait a minute. There is a problem. हां हॅलो मॅडम आता ते कनेक्ट झालं आहे पण प्रॉब्लेम काय होतं की ते आयपॅडचं स्क्रीनच दिसत नाही ते मीटिंगमधलं मॅडम मीटिंगमधल्या पार्टिसिपंटला तो स्क्रीन दिसत नाही आयपॅडचा आणि मी शेअर केलेला आहे इथनं आयपॅड ॲक्टिवेट केलेलं आहे ते पण जेव्हा मीटिंगमध्ये जातोय ना मी तेव्हा हे नाही दिसत आहे त्या मुलगीमुळे ते नाही व्हर्च्युअल कॅमेरा एक मिनिट हां सिम्बल ऑफ आहे हां हां आता ऑन झालं ओके ओके येस येस आय थिंक नाव इट विल बी विजिबल नाव आय कॅन सी दॅट ओके इज इट नाव विजिबल सृष्टी hello now is it visible now is it visible are you able to see the screen okay chalo let's go so we were discussing what is cash reserve ratio and this so let us get back to our discussion on monetary policy okay so this is something which I had done in the last lecture I'm just revising okay so copy down this formula that in a suppose if primary deposit is rupees 100 okay and the reserve deposit ratio and the reserve deposit ratio is 10% okay then total deposits in the banking system total deposits created by this in banking system is in banking system is primary deposit upon the reserve deposit ratio okay it is given by this formula primary deposit upon reserve deposit ratio so if the primary deposit was 100 reserve deposit ratio is 0.1 then how much will be the total deposits do the calculation and tell me check you should not require a calculator to do this what would be the total deposits the total deposits will be 1000 correct so this initial deposit of 100 giving rise to the initial deposit of 100 rupees initial deposit of 100 rupees creates total deposits of rupees 1000 Therefore, this process is called multiple credit creation. Okay, keep this in mind. I have seen in your CMA examination questions asked on calculation of the multiple credit multiplier, though it is not explicitly given in your syllabus book. Okay, but I have seen in the past question paper a topic like that. Okay, now do one important thing. Let us quickly write down some of the important financial institutions that you all should know. Okay, so remember, quickly check if you are able to write what these organizations stand for. Okay, what does NABARD stand for? Very good. Please write this. This is important. It is the National Bank for Agricultural, National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. Okay, National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. Okay, so it is a apex and it is a refinancing corporation. That is, it finances all the credit relating to the agricultural sector. Okay, fine. Write SEBI and write what is its main function. Yeah, what is its main function? Okay, one more thing you just remember, sometimes in your multiple choice question they ask year of formation. So NABARD was formed in the year 1982. And okay, we are at page number 134 and 135 from your book, and write the full form of SEBI. Perfect. Securities and Exchange Board of India, and there is a SEBI Act. SEBI was formed in the year 1988, and write down what it is. It's the mainly the regulator of capital markets. Regulator of capital markets, and capital markets includes the stock markets. Okay, so Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange, brokers, sub-brokers, all of them have to comply by the rules and regulations given by Securities Exchange Board of India. Have you all got this? Okay, and unlike private mutual funds, there was a government promoted mutual fund. What is it called? Government promoted mutual fund was called the Unit Trust of India. Okay, it is one of the oldest, what do you say, mutual funds that exists. Okay, so we know that. Okay, another important financial organization is LIC. What does LIC stand for? Life Insurance Corporation. It is one of the biggest insurance company in India, and it was formed in the year 1956, and it's mainly collects, or it's in the business of life insurance. Okay, and non-life insurance in the insurance terminology is called general insurance, and for all other aspects, insurance companies in India, we have General Insurance Corporation. GIC was set up in 1972, and it is also overlooking all non-life insurance business. Okay, that is the General Insurance Corporation. Okay, right name of this organization, IRDA. What is this body called? What is this body IRDA called? It is something to do with insurance, and it is a regulator. So can you guess the name? Okay, write this if you don't remember. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, and Regulation and Development Authority. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. It is called IRDA. It is called IRDA. Okay. Okay, Indian banks are generally classified as nationalized banks, and private banks. They are classified as nationalized banks and private banks. Okay, so at least give me a few examples of nationalized banks and a few examples of private banks. What? Tell me. Canara Bank. No, it's not a private bank. It's a nationalized bank. See, Bank of Maharashtra, Bank of Baroda, SBI, Canara Bank, these are syndicate bank. These are all what you call as nationalized banks. The government is the major shareholder in these banks. Have you got it? These banks are called nationalized banks. And other than these banks, those which were set up, cooperative bank na bolote apan. We are not talking about private banks. I'm sure you know, every day you are seeing their advertisements. Some of the rapidly rising private banks, which are they? Correct. HDFC hai, then you have ICICI. Okay. So all these get counted as the private bank, and nationalized banks definitely make a list of what are the important nationalized banks. Okay. Okay, too obvious for me to ask, but still let me tell. Write quickly. What is RBI? Not such an obvious question, but try to also find the year of setting up RBI. Year of setting up. 1942, correct. 42 or 45, 45, okay. So that's a important milestone in the Indian regulatory system, okay. And which bank was converted into RBI? Which bank, what was the former name? Okay, for as regards international payments, just write one very important short form. It is called SWIFT. All commercial banks have access to this network called SWIFT. Okay, what is SWIFT? Our Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Transactions. Society for Worldwide Interbank Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Transactions. Financial telecommunications, sorry. Financial Okay. Please rewrite this full form. Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Have you got it? Okay. The bank in India which is for settlement purposes is RBI. So all the net payment between the banks are managed by RBI. Just like that, if you think of a bank which is in charge of the international system, okay, it's called a Bank of International Settlement. The Bank of International Settlements. Okay, and RBI is a member of the Bank of International Settlements. Okay. Okay, this one is also write it because it's a very nice name. MUDRA, Mudra Bank. Okay, now Mudra stands for micro units, development and refinance, micro units, development and refinance, micro units and development refinance agency. Okay, so this is the meaning of the word mudra. Micro units, development and refinance agency. AIF. Write down what is the meaning of AIF. AIF are those which make investment other than the general lot of investment like equities and debentures. So these are called alternative investment funds. Okay, alternative investment funds. Okay, a term which came of use in the recent past is called bad banks. That is banks which have given credit to parties who are not paying back the money. The moment there is a default in repayment, this creates bad loans. And if large number of people default, then the bank itself gets into trouble, which is called bad bank. Okay, did you get the idea? What is a bad bank? Okay, that is a bad bank is a bank which investment is not in, or its investment is in restructuring a business. Okay. Okay, VC stands for venture capital. This is where India is trying to make a name for itself by providing safe havens for venture capitals. India wants to make itself a developed country. Okay, have you got it so far? Have you got some of these terms and terminology? Okay, so what I'm suggesting is that let us try to see if how much of the question paper, some of the objective type questions at the end of the book, how much portion of them we can solve. Okay, I'll just take exactly a 2-minute break and we will start back the session, and let us look at some of the important terms. Okay, so now in my watch it is 3:53. So exactly in 5 minutes I will log back, and then we will discuss at least 5 to 6 problems, and then you can wait for the maths lecture. Is that fine? Have you all got this? Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, okay. So I'm just going on mute, and let's just wait for 5 minutes. अरे बाबा तू इकॉनॉमिक्सच्या लेक्चरला येत जा रे. काय माहिती का, इथे कोणीच hello, hello. Okay, let us start discussing some of the problems that are there at the end of the chapter. Okay, so if you look at, let's look at some of these. Okay, RBI was nationalized in. Okay, so I think RBI's nationalization is 1949, huh? Check. Okay. Okay, write the name of this act which was replaced, right? In India, there was a very draconian rule which was called Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. It was in 1973, and this act was replaced by what is now called Foreign Exchange Management Act. And I think you have to learn this law in great detail when you are in the intermediate stage. Okay, and a similar question, just check. There was earlier what was called as Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act. That was called MRTP. Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act, and this act was replaced, and we had what is now called Competition Act. Okay, just remember, this also is a very similar kind of a question that can come. Which act has replaced the Monopolies Restrictive Trade Practices Act? Okay, fine. 14A is a question relating to the conduct of monetary policy, and please write what it is. Repo transaction means. Transaction means. Okay, now rewrite this word repo. Repo is a short form for repurchase agreements. Okay, repurchase agreements. Okay, so generally repo transactions in India are between the central bank, RBI, and the commercial banks, and RBI buys or takes government securities from commercial banks, gives them a loan, and after a few days, at most 14 days, the commercial banks will repurchase their securities sold to RBI earlier. Okay, so effectively that repo transaction म्हणजे कसं होईल, say RBI buys from, let us say, SBI. Okay, securities worth, let us say, 100 crores. Okay, so what will happen? RBI buys from SBI, so RBI will pay SBI 100 crores, correct? Who is the creditor? RBI is the creditor and SBI is the borrower. And after 15 days, okay, what will happen is that SBI will repay this loan, or it will repurchase the securities which are sold to RBI. Okay, so it will buy securities which it had sold. म्हणजे RBI gives loans to banks, gives loans to commercial banks by repo transactions, Have you all got this? समझ रहे? And so what would be the option that you will select for 14A? Just let's look at the options. Sale of securities by the holder to the investor with the agreement to purchase them at a predetermined rate and date. Okay, it sounds correct. Let us look at the other. Sale of securities by holder to the investor with the agreement to resell them at predetermined rate and date. No, one is a sale and one is a buy, so this is not correct. Sale and purchase of securities by the holder or to the investor with the agreement to purchase them at the prevailing rate and date. It's not prevailing rate, it is a already agreed upon date and time. That C is also not correct. Okay, you have to predetermine the rate and date. It is not determined later. Sale of securities by the holder to the investor with the agreement to purchase them at market driven rate. No, it is a transaction, so only the A option is correct for 14 la A. Have you got this? Is that clear? Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let us look at reverse repo. Okay, so in repo transaction, RBI is creditor initially, and later RBI is the, or let us say RBI gives funds to the commercial banks. RBI provides funds to commercial banks, okay, in the repo transaction. In the reverse repo transaction, okay, what happened is that many banks had lot of money coming in from foreign markets, so they needed some place where they could park the funds for a short term. So that is how RBI created this window called reverse repo. Okay, it is called reverse repo. Okay, reverse repo simply means the opposite of repo transaction. So in this transaction, in a reverse repo transaction, RBI sells to financial institutions. It sells to financial institutions, and so it is and the financial institutions lend to RBI. Okay, so the bank lends to RBI. So always remember, reverse repo rates are always less than the repo rates, because the bank will not borrow at a higher rate than what it gets. Okay, so let's look at what are the options that were there for reverse repo transaction. Sale of securities by the holder to the investor with the agreement to repurchase them at a predetermined rate and date. Okay, that's also right. Sale and purchase of securities by the holder to the investor with the commitment to sell or purchase them at predetermined rate and date. Sale and purchase of securities by the holder to the investor with the agreement to repurchase them at the prevailing rate. No. Sale of securities by the holder to the investor with the agreement to repurchase them at the market driven rate. No, it's not market driven rate. It is a predetermined rate. So that is the giveaway here, for which is the correct answer. Okay. So in the reverse repo transaction, what would you select? Which one of them this looks correct? See, you have to see in such a way that RBI is now the borrower, reverse repo. So it must be yeah, I think it looks like D. D Ekabak, that's all. 15. Are you getting this concept? Reverse repo? Repo and the reverse repo? Sale of securities by the holder to the investor. Okay, RBI sells. Okay, yeah, correct. It has to be the sale by the holder to the investor with the agreement to repurchase at the predetermined rate and okay. Oh, sorry. Why D is wrong is that it is saying it's a market driven. It's not market driven. Underline 14A. It is correct because it is a predetermined rate and date. Okay, remember repo is always with a predetermined rate and date. Okay, solve problem number 16. We just did the, given the reserve ratio of 20%, initial deposit of 1000 in the banking system, it would create secondary deposit of. Okay, so here there is a little bit of trick and working. Okay, so write this: total deposits equals primary deposit plus secondary deposit. It includes both primary deposits plus secondary deposits. Okay, now we already know the formula that total deposits are equal to primary deposits upon reserve deposit ratio. Primary deposits upon reserve deposit ratio. So look at the problem. What does it say? The reserve deposit ratio is 20%. Okay, and the initial deposit is 1000. Okay, can you calculate what would be the secondary deposits? Use the formula and do it step by step. If you go, if we apply this formula, total deposits is equal to primary deposits of 1000 divided by reserve deposit ratio of 0.2. Okay, so that would make it 5,000, right? Yes, it would become 5,000. Now the answer is not here, still we have to do one more step. Total deposits are 5,000, total deposits are 5,000 and primary deposits are 1,000, so the balance would be the secondary deposit. How much will they be? Total 5,000 है, primary deposits are 1,000. How much will be the total secondary deposits? Yes, correct. Okay, so you all have another 1.5 hours of banking lecture, so mathematics lecture. So I'll stop here. We'll complete this chapter, and if possible then we'll start with management and in tomorrow's session. Okay, and thank you very much for joining. Please keep coming, because every minute is important when you're going for the final exam. Okay, thank you. So I'm closing this thing. Bye.